Hi folks, in today's video we're going to take a look at file renaming inside of Lightroom Classic 10. I'm Sean McCormick, I'm an Adobe community professional for Lightroom and I'm also an official Fuji X photographer. We've already seen renaming inside of the import module very briefly, but we can also do inside Lightroom itself and also in any of the export variations, which we'll touch on briefly. But we're really just going to look at it inside the main part of Lightroom itself. With this being a series, if you want to keep up with it, please do subscribe to the channel to get notified. Especially hit the bell if you really want to get notifications of when the next video comes online. In fact, over 92% of you are not subscribed to the channel, so I would appreciate a few more subscribes. So here we are inside Lightroom itself, where you can do renaming in a few different ways. You can name individual images. You can actually do that here directly inside file name, where you can just edit the file name directly here. Or you can do it in batches as well. So we say we're in a grid, we select a couple of images here and we can rename them. We do this by going to library. And we go down here to rename photos and we can see that it has the shortcut key F2. This will bring up, depending on what you actually have, it will tell you the amount of photos that are going to be renamed. And what I mean by what you have is which of the options for renaming you've selected. A few of these are, already inside of Lightroom, such as file name sequence, date-file name. And this one here I created myself. So I select that one, for example, you see where it says example underneath. It gives you what it does. And we'll have a look at how that works in a second. So you've got the file naming template that you're using. Any custom text. If you're using sequences with start numbers, for example, with a sequence here, we'll see that we got a sequence start number. And you can kind of work from there. So we'll go through these now in a second. Once you're done, you click OK and the files will be renamed. So the trick here with this is edit allows you to create and build up your own. Alright. So here we now are inside what's called the file name template editor. So this is where we set up the template for the actual file names themselves. Now you can get rid of everything completely here so it doesn't have to have anything in it. But you have these options here to build up. So you've got file name, which is the original file name, obviously. File name number suffix, which is the camera number. So if you're going continuous, it will be that number, that whatever 4-digit number, or it could be a 7-digit number. It depends on the camera you have, the naming system that's there. And then folder name is the folder that it's going into and stuff like that, or folder that is already in. This is only an option that is there when you're actually inside the library. It's not there when you are inside import because you don't have a folder yet. Sequence sets up various sets of sequences. Be cautious and use a longer sequence if you are using sequences in general so that you don't get repetition of numbers. And the other thing is that if you start with a 1, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. It goes 1, 10, 2, and so on. So like in alphabetical order, this sequence could be an issue. So you're better off going for something like this one here. And image is just like when you're importing from a card, it will give you the image of the total or of the sequence that you're in currently. Date gives you all the date options here as well. So for example, for a full reverse year, and the reason why you'd use a reverse year is that it gives you chronological order because it's alphabetical really, but it gives you proper chronological order. You can type directly in the gap itself or in the box itself, so we can stick in a dash. Dashes are better than underscores because Google will read a dash as a space and it's good for SEO when you're uploading files. So in this case here we're going to stick in some custom text. The reason why that is just we want something that will identify the file outside of Lightroom and also give you something that you can search for if you should be looking. And in this case here I prefer to use the file name suffix, the original number that came with the file. Why am I doing this? Well, the reason why is just that you want to have some kind of consistent, repeatable file naming. But you're avoiding getting duplicate file names that make no sense whatsoever. Especially if you're trying to do it into the same folder, you don't want to accidentally overwrite stuff. Now, generally speaking, Lightroom won't allow that on import. It will give a -2 at the end of a number. But then you might end up with like image 0001-1 or -2, -4, whatever, which is messy and not good. At least this way you're creating something that you want. Then you can come down here and you can save as a new preset. Now obviously I already have this as this preset here, so that's pretty much doing exactly the same thing there. And then that would be saved. Here's the thing about file renaming. I do this because it gives me a repeatable chronological number for searching for, but it doesn't matter what way you do it as long as you do it consistently and in such a way that you get a unique name. It's very important to get a unique name. That's really all I can say about it. There's also other stuff that you can have inside it. You can choose metadata, so you can actually embed all of this information into the file name. Some of this stuff may be way too long, so you don't want that. There's also stuff like the serial number, the camera that could be put in, the camera and information. You could also have this information if you wanted. If you have artist in there stored, you could have that as part of the file name. But in this case, if you really want to have something like that in there, you could say, for example, you could stick in your initial or something like that. That's good if there's more than one photographer in the studio and you're importing. You can set up import presets for, or file naming templates for that particular person. And that way, you know which file came from which person every time. Right, so I'm just going to click cancel here because I've already done this. Or well, I'll click done, and what we'll do is we'll actually see this make a change. So these ones are, most of these are saying frosty morning already. So I click here and I go, oh actually that's not the file name, that's the folder name. So I click OK. These get updated here and we can see that they now went from frosty morning to frosty winter morning. So, and as we move through them, we can see here that it's frosty winter morning here and in consecutive order. So that is renaming. Now if we go and export these, export, file naming here is one of the options you can choose here, and you can see that it looks almost the same as what we had before. If we had something with a sequence in it, we can see that the sequence is here, for example, or just like a custom name that sequence, we can see it's there, and then you can stick in the text. I'm not actually going to export these like this. And the reason why you might want to do this is you may not want to reveal the original naming, or let's say that you have 20 files out of 400 that you're sending to a client. You might just want to rename them so that they say 1 to 20. So the client aren't asking where the other 380 are. I generally don't do this because sometimes if there's an issue, they might want to refer to the number, and I'd rather be able to tie back to the number that I already know. Okay, now we will come back to a little bit more about export in the future, but this is just so that we already have file naming covered. And very briefly as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on import, even though we've already mentioned this before. So let's say I wanted to import something here via copy. Come down here and we have rename files. We can see here that we have the same template as we saw before. We have custom text, and then we have stuff like shoot name and start number. Shoot name is if you've got a shoot put in. And basically it's exactly the same thing that you're doing that we've already seen as part of rename. So folks, that is a look at renaming inside of Lightroom. We can see that we can do it on import, export, and of course in library itself. There are other places you can do it as well, such as web, but by and large, import, export, and inside library itself is where you're going to do it. In fact, the chances are you're probably mostly just going to do it inside import. But I just wanted to do it separately, so that way the import video wasn't too long. So hopefully you found that useful. If you did, please do give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the notification bell to get warnings of when I'm next online giving you stuff. For the next video, I'm probably going to be looking at Luminar again, but with a different beard, because I recorded those videos before this one, basically. So thanks for watching, folks.